At 05:07 p.m. local time, one of the largest U.S. air bases in Qatar, Al Udeid, the combat alarm sounds across the base. Mechanics working on fighter jets drop their tools and run for cover. Ground crews scramble for the hardened shelters. Every siren on the base is going at once. The Patriot missile battery's A&M PQ-65 radar has just picked up 4 ballistic missile tracks inbound from the Iranian coast. Every second, the contacts are getting closer. The distance from the Iranian launch site, somewhere in the Bushehr area along the Persian Gulf coast, to Al Udeid is approximately 200 miles. An Iranian medium-range ballistic missile travels at an average speed of around Mach 3.2. That means the total flight time from launch to impact is roughly 6 minutes. 6 minutes from the first radar detection to the moment those warheads either hit the base or are destroyed in the air. Al Udeid is protected by Patriot batteries armed with PAC-3 MSE interceptors, the most advanced version of the Patriot missile currently in service. The PAC-3 MSE is a hit-to-kill weapon. It does not carry an explosive warhead. Instead, it destroys its target by flying directly into it at hypersonic speed and destroying it through raw kinetic energy. The missile uses its own onboard radar seeker to track the incoming ballistic threat in the terminal phase, guides itself onto a collision course, and slams into the warhead at closing speeds over a mile per second. At that velocity, the impact alone is enough to shatter the incoming missile into fragments and neutralize any conventional or chemical payload inside. The PAC-3 MSE can engage ballistic targets out to roughly 120 kilometers. Its accuracy is measured in centimeters. It has to be, because missing by even a small margin means the incoming warhead continues toward its target. While the Patriot crews locked onto the inbound tracks, American pilots at Al Udeid scrambled F-15 fighters into the air to intercept any follow-on threats. Iran has a pattern of pairing ballistic missile launches with drone swarms, sending Shahed loitering munitions from coastal sites to hit targets while the ballistic missiles are already airborne, forcing air defenses to handle multiple threats at the same time. The F-15s climb to altitude, radars active, ready to engage any drones launched from Iranian shore positions across the Persian Gulf. The 4 Iranian ballistic missiles continued closing. The Patriot batteries were in firing position, every system green, tracks locked, solutions calculated. The moment the incoming warheads entered the PAC-3 engagement envelope, 4 interceptors launched in rapid sequence, pillars of flame and smoke rising from the launcher as the missiles shot straight up and then arced onto their intercept trajectories. Each PAC-3 accelerated to hypersonic speed within seconds, climbed toward its assigned target, and made contact. 4 direct hits. 4 Iranian ballistic missiles turned to powder in the upper atmosphere, the fragments falling harmlessly into the desert. But the A&M PQ-65 radar has a limitation. Its field of view is roughly 90 degrees, a forward-facing sector, not a full 360-degree coverage. The radar was locked onto the inbound threat from the north, where the 4 Iranian missiles were coming from. A 5th missile, launched separately from a different stretch of Iranian coastline on the Persian Gulf, outside the Patriot's radar arc, was never detected by the system. It came in from a blind angle. There was no warning, no intercept attempt, no defense. The missile flew its full ballistic arc and struck the base. The impact destroyed one of the runways and hit a hangar where several aircraft were parked for scheduled maintenance. Fires spread across the damaged area. Crews rushed to contain the damage and account for personnel. Immediately after the attack, the order came down to hit back, fast and hard. 6 F-15E Strike Eagles were scrambled for a retaliatory strike on the Iranian launch sites. The F-15E is a 2-seat, twin-engine, multi-role fighter purpose-built for exactly this kind of mission. Deep strike against time-sensitive targets. It can carry up to 23,000 pounds of ordnance on its hardpoints, cruise at Mach 2.5, and has an unrefueled combat radius of roughly 790 miles. The distance from Al Udeid to the Iranian launch area around Bushehr is approximately 200 miles one way, well within the Strike Eagle's combat radius, with fuel to spare for the return trip and any combat maneuvering over the target without requiring aerial refueling. While the Iranian missile crews were packing up their launchers and trying to displace to new firing positions, the American Strike Eagles were already halfway to the target. The Iranians did not know that their movements were being watched. Overhead, an MQ-9 Reaper drone had been orbiting the launch area since well before the attack, tracking every vehicle, every launcher, every transporter erector launcher moving on the ground below. The drone fed real-time coordinates back to the F-15E strike package as they closed in. Every few seconds, the positions of the Iranian launchers were updated on the pilots' displays. On Iran's first line of defense around the launch area, the IRGC had deployed Russian-made Tor M1 short-range surface-to-air missile systems. But there were far fewer Tor M1s than would have been needed to fully cover the area. Most of the original batteries had been destroyed days earlier in joint American-Israeli strikes on Iranian air defense infrastructure. The gaps were wide open. The Strike Eagles flew directly to the coordinates being transmitted by the Reaper in real time. On the ground, the Iranian Fateh missile launchers were minutes away from reaching the tunnels where they planned to hide and ride out any American response. They were not going to make it. The American pilots descended from 25,000 feet down to 15,000 feet to sharpen their targeting, low enough to get clean radar and sensor locks on the moving vehicles, high enough to stay above any residual anti-aircraft fire from the ground. The targets appeared on the radar screens in the cockpits. The pilots locked on. Each F-15E released 2,000-pound GBU-31 JDAM guided bombs from their hardpoints. The bombs fell away, GPS guidance kicking in, and began their descent toward the Iranian launcher vehicles. Seconds later, the impacts hit. Massive explosions tore across the ground where the Fateh launchers were trying to run for cover. The launcher vehicles, their transporter trucks, the support equipment, all of it was destroyed in the blasts. The secondary explosions from the remaining missile propellant on board the launchers sent additional fireballs into the sky. The strike was over in less than a minute. The Iranian launch capability from that site was destroyed. The MQ-9 Reaper overhead confirmed the battle damage assessment. All targets neutralized. The F-15Es turned away from the Iranian coast, climbed back to cruise altitude, and flew the 400 miles back to Udeid Air Base to refuel, rearm, and be ready for whatever came next.